All right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakadash, Ma'amoth. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world eagerly and willingly call God of Jehovah. Bahashem meaning in the name of. Yahweh Shai meaning he who delivers, who the world eagerly and willingly call JC today. I want to give a double honor to the elders and apostles at Great Millstone who rule well, and another double honor to my elder as well, Ahar One bin Yasha Allah of the Lion's Den Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. Salutations to the 144,000 hopeful elect, pushing this truth across the four winds, and to the one-third remnant believers in Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, Shalom, Shalom. It's going to be a quick lesson entitled Death and Life Are in the Power of the Tongue. And what prompted me to do this lesson, because I was working yesterday, and as I was working, it was always, quiet. So I'm just always in my thoughts. And a certain thought came to my mind. I was like, man, sometimes, a thought came to my mind, I'd be like, no. So, spiritual demon Satan try to put a thought in your head, and you kind of act on that thought. And I said to myself, man, no, that ain't going to happen. Or no, that ain't right. That's not going to happen. You see what I'm saying? And it was me basically rebuking that thought, because once you put a thought in your head and you constantly feeding off of it, playing on a scenario that'll never happen. You see what I'm saying? So when it's all said and done, I said, man, that ain't going to happen. Rebuking myself when it's all said and done with. So I had to say it over and over again. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Because if you say something, because you're thinking of something, you act on something, it'll cause you to do something that ain't right or sin. And throughout my life, I always found myself, seeing things from a negative manner and speaking on things from a negative standpoint. And I realized that most of the problems that happened in my life was because of me, on my way of viewing things, on my way of thinking things. Like, I remember there was a point in time in my life, I had just graduated high school, and my license was always suspended. It was always suspended, and I used to procrastinate it. I had this anxiety for the longest of trying out new things or doing new things, to the point to where when I was about to do something, I catch anxiety, and I just want to, stay in the house and don't want to do it. And that came with even going to small things, like even going to go reinstate my license, or, so I'd be in a messed up predicament for so long just off the fear and anxiety of going to go do something new. Because I was at that point in my life, I was, just graduated. I was used to just being by myself and being in the house. I didn't want to be around people. So going to the DMV was like a big matter to me. I had to be around all these people that I don't want to be around. So my license was always suspended. I used to say to myself, watch, the day that I finally get a license, my car gonna break down. My car gonna break down as soon as I get my license. You know what I'm saying? So I finally got my license, and guess what? My radiator went out on my car. And that particular day, probably like 2017, and that particular day, it was real hot outside. It was hot. When it get hot outside, that's when people's cars start breaking down. So I seen like 3-4 cars on the road, and then lo and behold, when I was finna get to my destination, I was on the way to work at that time, and my car broke down. I spent that whole day in the DMV, I spent that whole day paying off tickets, and getting my license straight, and I was happy that I had a license, and then my car broke down. You see what I'm saying? So now I got a good license with no car. But it was the simple fact that I said it. I said, the day I get a license, I'm gonna get pulled over. The day I get a license, watch my car break down. And that's both of those things happen, just because I was speaking on them. You see what I'm saying? So death and life are in the power of the tongue, man. The things we say, it manifests and it happens, when it's all said and done with. So we want to speak life. So kind of got this first precept, in the book of Proverbs, chapter 12, verse 17. It says, he that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit, right? In the minute of the Lord, gonna speak truth. We out here on the highways and byways speaking truth, the truth of Yahweh Bashim Yahshua, and speaking truth in our own personal life when it's all said and done with. Because you had that feeling when you do some lame, you do something lame or against the scriptures, you have this feeling like, damn, I'm lame as fuck. Salakia for my speech. But damn, I'm lame for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm lame for that. You see what I'm saying? But it says, he that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness. So, right, we try our best to just, speak truth and righteousness. Not just the truth of the scriptures, but truth in our own lives. Somebody asks me something, you'll know if I'm lying. You know what I'm saying? Because it'll be hard for me to lie. And I was always one of those people growing up that'll tell the blatant truth. And it always, most of the time, it would get me in trouble. Because sometimes, the stuff that I was saying out of my mouth, it'll be the truth, but it don't need to be said. Because people can't handle the truth. People don't want to hear the truth these days. They want to hear a smooth lie. They want to hear smooth things. So I was always the one to blatantly say the truth. And a lot of people ain't like me for it. A lot of people ain't like me for telling the truth. Because the only reason why when I grew up, I was always telling the truth because I was in Chicago, around all my family members. I haven't been around all my family members since like 2017. That was my last time going to Chicago because they wicked. I'm just gonna throw it out there. They wicked, man. I just hate being around them. They leave me with this bad energy. This is bad energy just being around them. You know what I'm saying? They all carrying this weight that I don't want to help them carry. You see what I'm saying? So when I was like 8 years old, I remember praying to the Lord because my grandma, she used to always say, I was always scared of the consequences or what's going to happen when I get caught doing something that I was supposed to be doing. You see what I'm saying? So my grandma used to say, you a compulsive liar. You always lying. You always lying. I remember I was 8 years old. She would tell me this all the time. Like, she asked me, did you pee in the bed? I was like, no, Grandma. You a compulsive liar. You a liar. You smell like pee. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But I was lying because I was scared of the consequences. And then I prayed to the Lord one time. I was like 8 years old. I remember. It was like 2004. I always, it was like 2004. It had to be like 2004. I was 8 years old. And I prayed to the Lord. I said, Lord, why am I a compulsive liar? You know what I'm saying? I was like, God, why am I a compulsive liar? And I realized that I was a compulsive liar because I was in a household full of compulsive liars. You see what I'm saying? And I picked up on that as a child. So then it came to a point in my life where it felt good to tell the truth, but at the end of the day, it leaves you. The truth don't always get you. The truth sets you free. You see what I'm saying? It's another precept that I read today. I don't know if it was in Proverbs chapter 9 about he that having a servant and is despised. I'm like, when I read it, why is he despised? He got a servant and he despised. It's probably a reason why he despised. And I realized me telling the truth, I'm always despised. You see what I'm saying? Because people do not want to hear the truth. But the truth sets you free. It set me free from the fuck shit that you carry around that you want me to, follow after. You see what I'm saying? So me being myself, a man of the Lord, I'm just gonna tell you the truth that's gonna hurt your feelings. You see what I'm saying? You're gonna feel whatever you feel about it. But the righteous, when they hear the truth, or if I was to hear the truth, somebody tell me the truth about me, I have no choice but to accept it. And the righteous gonna love you for always telling the truth. You see what I'm saying? So with that being said, the truth sets you free from people that you don't need to be around. Basically, the best way I can put it. You see what I'm saying? But it says, there is that verse 17 again, he that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. A false witness is always going to be deceit. They always going to tell a lie. You see what I'm saying? You see it all the time. We in a land of liars, or lying and boasting and just trying to be something that you're not is exalted on this side. And if you tell the truth, you're going to be hated for telling the truth. Verse 18, there is that speaking like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. Right? So you have, right, the scripture say the tongue can no man tame. You see what I'm saying? Like I stated in previous lessons before, people just be, the tongue is something that no man can tame, basically, man. Somebody can say whatever they want to say. If they hurt, you got people out here, when they hurt, the first thing they want to do is hurt you. If they can't hurt you physically, they'll hurt you mentally and physically with their words. And I used to be one of those people growing up as a habit that I adapted, from family members. From being around certain family members, I adapted habits. You see what I'm saying? Like growing up, I could never, my sisters, they could do whatever they want to do. And I just had to sit there and take it. And if I was explaining myself, people talk down on me like I was soft, for saying that this ain't fair, this and that, this and that. Basically they're telling me just take it. So I adapted in my lifetime. I adapted to it. So if I couldn't physically hurt you, I'm going to say something that'll hurt your feelings. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I used to use against women, growing up. Because it was always, they can do whatever they want to do, but as soon as you do something back, you looked at as evil. Or if you say something back, you looked at it as evil. Around the generation of people that I grew up around, a woman had no consequences. So I grew up hating them. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna speak my truth. I grew up hating them because the simple fact that they could do whatever they want to do and there was no consequences. They can get away with murder. You see what I'm saying? So it got to a point to where I was like, well, I'm just gonna say whatever I gotta say to hurt you. I don't care how it come out. I'm gonna say whatever. You see what I'm saying? That's like the piercing of a sword. You see what I'm saying? And that was the wrong way to live. That was the wrong way to, you know what I'm saying? That was the wrong way to handle things. I should have been handling things through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, because our big brother Yahushua, he ain't walking like that. You see what I'm saying? Yahushua was righteous no matter what they try to come up, what accusation they try to come up or use against him. You see what I'm saying? But it says there is that speaking like the piercing of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health, right? The tongue of the wise is health, but our tongue still like sharp swords when we speaking these words of Yahushua, man. We're going into these scriptures, dabbling in these scriptures. The scriptures cut like a two-edged sword. And us bearing that sword, and speaking, that's the main weapon that we have on this side. And Yahushua is the ultimate weapon, that right hand. And through these scriptures, we able to access, that right hand. You see what I'm saying? But it says, but the tongue of the wise is health, right? Because death and life are in the power of the tongue. Right, so we speak life to our brothers and the opposite to these heathens, man. When it's all said and done, we speak life unto our brothers, our sisters, and the children that believe on Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, and the opposite to these heathens when it's all said and done with, via these scriptures, these words. Not physically trying to fight. We a spiritual army of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. It says, verse 19, the lips of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment, right? And Esau, that's that lying tongue. You see what I'm saying? Esau, that lying tongue that go about through the earth deceiving and trying to get people to follow him via his wicked devices. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, Amalek, owning all these industries and controlling these puppet rappers and get them to say whatever they want to say. You have rappers come out and say they get paid more to talk about some the stuff that Jake be talking about in these music these days. That's all you see, man. Somebody will blow up for doing the same exact thing that the next person blew up, and that's just talking about murders and bodies and catching your ops. You see what I'm saying? That's death. You see what I'm saying? But the tongue of the wise is health. You see what I'm saying? You got us, we on YouTube, and we dropping these lessons, you know what I'm saying, to build a brother up when it's all said and done with. So calm, man. The lips of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. So right, the lips of truth, we speaking is truth. When it's all said and done with that 2nd Ezra 6:27 spirit, we speaking is truth. So we're going to be established forever through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, man. When it's all said and done with, I'm going to go to the next chapter. A few precepts in Proverbs. But it says, the book of Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 3. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. So right, and that's what these devils do. They boast and they proud. You know what I'm saying? Death and life being in the power of the tongue, and these devils opening their mouth wide, speaking some death, pushing forth all these wicked decrees, getting our people to follow after them, using our people as puppets for mind control games for the younger generation. So when they grow up, the only thing they know is death. They don't know life. You see what I'm saying? And they censor our videos so they can't, even get here. You see what I'm saying? But that's why the Lord got us set up on these street corners. So every Jake gonna know what it is when the time comes. They gonna been seen it or heard it at least once. Scroll past the video or whatever the case may be. The Lord gonna make sure. But it says, "He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction." Right? You open your wide your lips. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have destruction for those the boasters and the proud. Esau, Edom, and the wicked devices that he pushed daily, man. Ultimately, it's going to be a recompense and destruction for all these things when it's all said and done with. Skipping to verse 18 and verse 21, chapter 18 and verse 20. Proverbs 18 and verse 20, "A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled." Right? Either going to be filled with destruction, that death, or you're going to be filled with life. You see what I'm saying? Because when Yahweh shall pull up, he's going to render to every man a reward according to his own way. But it says a man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth. You see what I'm saying? So that's why we ought to watch what we say, because guess what? The tongue can no man tame. So with that being said, us having Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, we know when it's time to hold our speech. It's a time and a place for everything. You know what I'm saying? It's time to speak, so we know how to hold our speech when it's time, and how to speak when it's time, but sometimes brother get around each other and we do what we do, man, when it's all said and done with. Like, I ain't gonna speak on that, but verse 20, "A man's belly shall be satisfied with the fruit of his mouth, and with the increase of his lips shall he be filled. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." So right, when it's all said and done with, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. And right, we're going to eat the fruit of life because we're going to speak life, and we're going to read these scriptures, and we're going to drink this water. We drinking life, we speaking life, taking in life, dreaming about life, right? Because we got Yahweh Shai when it's all said and done with. So on all four fronts, we choosing life, while 2/3 of our people choosing death and groping in it. Groping in the dark and not caring. You see what I'm saying? Not understanding the grace and mercy of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, but using their liberty as a cloak of maliciousness. This is Luke chapter 17, verse 5 and 6, and it's going to be the last precept. Luke 17 and verse 5, "And the apostles said unto the Lord, Increase our faith. And the Lord said, If ye had faith as the grain of a mustard seed, ye might say unto the sycamore tree, Be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it shall obey you." Right, and ultimately that's life, because him having faith, life and death are in the power of the tongue. They're able to say to a sycamore tree, "Be thou plucked up by the root, and be thou planted in the sea, and it shall obey thee." You see what I'm saying? And just picturing that, man. Just picturing that. That's showing faith, strength, life, and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's many ways that you can envision that according to, each brother probably envision that a whole different way. I'm envisioning it as a man physically pulling the tree out of the ground and throwing it like a football into the sea. You see what I'm saying? That's how I envision it. Another brother might envision it as the tree physically. He's speaking to the tree, right? And the tree go from big all the way back to a seed. He'll throw the seed in the sea, and it instantly grow in the sea and flourish. I don't know. But I envision it as a man pulling a tree out of the ground by its roots and throwing it physically into the sea. You see what I'm saying? But it could mean something else, But ultimately, man, life and death are in the power of the tongue. And if you choose life, Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, you're going to be established forever when it's all said and done with. For having this correct doctrine in your mouth and drinking out of the water that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua gives us, but not from these broken cisterns, man. I pray this lesson was edifying. Shalom. On to the next.